that's what's going to get them that next tower after the kills, and not just kind of hanging out.
And of course, the weak early ganks of Vi definitely going to play cases. We are in game for the second match here of the LCS promotion series between Supa Crew and SK Gaming.
Let's see what these guys have for each other right out of the gate. They're going consumables on Jez's this time. He did play a bit of a Doran's shield on his Zed last game, so he looks to stay in lane and just keep throwing out barrels against a Doran's ringed Moops. I'm gonna keep my eyes on that lane.
So what we are seeing as well with the supports is we do see that Targon's Brace coming down, the Relic Shield rather, for Nif. So he's opting to go for that one as a nice strong play from Supa Crew. Very reminiscent of the 2013 season. Group up.
None of that last game.
Get that ward down on Wraith and back when, exactly like you highlighted, was not done in the previous matchup.
Both teams looking to go straight ward trinkets out of the gate on this one. Nothing in the jungler's hand, so Impaler doesn't go for the sweeper. SK stays all with trinkets. You're going to see pretty much orthodox buys around. We are staying with the Spell Thief's Edge as well for Megza in the beginning of the game.
And it does look like we're going to have straight matchups once again. 1v1s and the 2v2s across the board. So we can most likely expect Svenskeren to once again do lots of early ganks. Lee Sin is much like Evelyn in that regard. Very, very strong in the early stages of the game. And ideally, you want to start snowballing yourself or a lane in order to continue snowballing. Lee Sin is going to become a lot more utility, but as Lee Sin sort of starts to fall off a little bit, Olaf will start to pick up. So it'll be balanced out in the team comp.
These guys are playing songs for us right now in the beginning of this game. Just pinging all over the map. Looks like they are actually going to swap these ones out. They take a little bit of extra time to figure that out, and they get their moves down. So the pings were for the good of it. And we'll have to see what they have for each other here in the start as we get this all fixed up. So we got the swap. We're going to have to see how the 2v1 goes. So we have Renekton in the top lane and Olaf. How do you see that in the 2v1 for these guys?
Olaf is going to have a slightly easier time of it in the early stages, thanks to being able to use that undertow from range. So it's going to allow him to at least CS a little bit more. I think that Renekton's Cold and Meek is better for sustain. So once they get underneath the tower, Dazzle is going to make Olaf's life such a pain for trying to get those last hits, for trying to CS. And what you'll see Nif doing is just staying at max range, throwing the Dazzle, backing away.
Back and forth.
Not going to take a turret hit, just going to aggravate him. And try to be a nuisance. And with a little bit of luck, we'll actually see him using his heal to actually heal minions and really annoy Olaf, coming from Freddy, of course. Mima, rather.
Right. We're going to do a quick restart on Jez's client, get him back into the game so there's no hitches for him. But looking at these compositions, we said it's going to be Gragas versus Orion middle. A matchup, a skill matchup. Either one can kill each other. But also, who's going to be roaming first? You have the Lee Sin to be roaming with. The lanes, bottom lane, well, I should say top lane now, Candy Pen and Nif. Big kill potential, but it's kind of hard to get kill potential with Olaf. You just have consistent slows from a Lee Sin and an Olaf. So
yeah, it's going to be
might not be a lot of focus there.
It's going to be very difficult to actually secure kills in these early games, but it's definitely in SK Gaming's favor to pick up kills against Supa Crew. Knowing that Impaler's Vi is going to have a bit more of a ramp-up time, as it were, because the only hard CC in the lane is Renekton's stun. That's it for Supa Crew. The rest of the team is all sort of, a slow here and there. So I feel like Supa Crew will play this one very passive, very slow. Wait till they get to the team fights, and then do exactly like they did in game one. Win a couple of team fights, pick up some objectives, and push down the map from there.
And these team fights, as we were kind of describing now, playing out in my head, are going to be ridiculous because with only slows, they go coast to coast. You have the 30-second fights that people just chasing each other. You're going to have Crescendo, and you have Dazzle, and if Shockwave only hits a few people, that's all the crowd control you have.
And there's also something I want to highlight about the two teams that we're seeing. And taking a step back to the picks and bans, Mima is arguably is best known for his Rengar play. He does it a lot in solo queue. Now, unfortunately, Rengar is banned out for this tournament. And if you were to compare the likes of a Vi and a Rengar, that is an instant deleted target. You know, Rengar can stealth up. He can have an invisible ball delivery system and jump onto Shockwave. So Mima's had to adapt and work around it. And he did very well with Siobhan in the previous game. Because it's a similar play style.
Absolutely.
You are disruptive, you jump in there, and you cause all sorts of problems.
A little bit more team-oriented, like, guys, follow up and help me crush this guy, because I can't burst them out. We'll have to see what they do. Still trying to get Jez's client fixed here, seeing if everything works out correctly. But once they get back into the game, what's their focus? If the 2v1 lane is there, there, if there isn't much kill potential, do they just farm up and get past that U curve safely?
For Super Hot Crew, yes.
Okay.
I think for Super Hot Crew, I definitely like the way the champions will scale. I like the options that they have. They've got good engage, they've got good disengage if they want to use it that way. I feel the onus is going to be on SK to create opportunities in the laning phase because the composition lends towards it. Taric and Sivir are big lane bullies. They can get a lot of damage done, and if you combine the Dazzle from Taric in conjunction with the Lee Sin, Sonic Wave in conjunction with the burst from Sivir, like that's a dead anyone in the early stages of the game. But the key is finding out when you can do that. In a 2v1 setup, it's more difficult. A gank in a 2v1 is more difficult because you either have to dive or more realistically, we'll probably see the 2v2 junglers helping out their buddies and making sure they don't lose towers.
We'll have to see what they can do with Sona coming back in more.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's
being
a comfort
banned
pick.
out. You want that 6 stun.
I feel like it's a comfort pick. I feel like you've been playing Sona for such a long time, and the versatility and utility that Sona offers you, it works well. And you've also got the setup for a wombo combo. You have the potential of a crescendo into a shockwave, etc. So I just think it's the Gambit gaming motto, where anybody that plays support for Gambit will play Sona because it's just sort of, it's just the style that they play.
Absolutely. Just coming out, you got to do it.
Yep, basically.
Even Edward. But it makes you good.
It does, especially when you have to deal with a very squishy support. In the early stages, you definitely learn the limits of what you can get away with. Once again, we do apologize about the small delay. We're just working on Jazz's PC, resetting just a couple of the clients across the board. It does look like we're just getting sure everybody's on the same page here before we get this match underway.
Moops Morgana was also a chance in this one. But looking against the team, you don't really want to try to Morgana, alt, Soul Shackle, and Olaf. It doesn't work. Everybody can pretty much body slam out, run away, stun you back. So they're actually making it hard for these. They don't have to ban it out. They just make it hard for you to want to choose your good champions.
I'm happy you mentioned that because I think we sort of knew coming into this that Candy Panda plays quite a bit of emphasis onto Sivir. He's playing a lot in scrims. He's been spamming it in solo queue. And you heard from the teams. Like, we know that this is what they do, right? If you pick a Morgana into a Sivir, you pop down Soul Shackles, she pops on the hunt, everyone runs away, and Soul Shackles pistols. So I think if a Morgana pick were to come out in this series, there'd have to be a different AD carry. And I think Moops and Super Hot Crew would need to know a little bit more information. They would probably have to have a crescendo in there as well, maybe a jungle with a bit more CC as well.
Lucian, Sona, we haven't really talked too much about Lucian. We've talked about him that he's being used, but just why?
He's incredibly powerful right now, and partially because of just how much of a lane bully he is. And it does look like we are going back in, and we are loading up. And one of the strengths of Lucian, he's got great scaling on his abilities, and the amount of pressure you can apply in the laning phase, thanks to that light sling and just the double shot from his passive, is very, very powerful there. The piercing light, that's the one. And it just allows you to really hit hard. In a 2v1, it's less apparent though, because you can't bully out your opponents. You can't deal damage to squishy supports. As Mixon and Impaler with a very strong move here against Svenskeren.
Speaking about bullying out your opponent, Svenskeren not able to get the blue buff on the way around, and that leaves him sitting at 2. Impaler, 3 out of the jungle. Very
good decision there from Super Hot Crew, and this is part of the reason I like this Super Hot Crew composition. Impaler has been very active during the We Play group stages, qualifying for this event, and in a lot of the games we've seen them play, just because he's not afraid to roam, he's not afraid to invade.
Just sitting in the face of Mimer, taking some shots on his turret. So HSC, you can see them kind of playing out on blue side what they had intended on the switch. They leave their AD carry bottom. I don't know if that was intended, but I think it happened a lot because that other bottom had switched top. So very well played there. Impaler going to get himself a little bit ahead, but it's so early still. We'll have to see if they make use of it.
Yeah, that's the key. What does Impaler do with this? With the additional buff, he's actually going to hit level 6 earlier, and that's very, very important for Super Hot Crew. It's going to allow them to make ganks with that Assault and Battery, and if you combine Assault and Battery plus the Renekton or the Vi Orianna ultimate, it's going to be very, very strong at securing kills. Mimer does get out thanks to that Dazzle, and Nif just gets away.
We'll see what they do. The Spell Thief's Edge, as we said before, still on the support. I believe our first Targons we see coming in here on Nif, so.
Yeah, I think it's actually the first one of the weekend.
Yeah.
First one of the weekend. What we see from OGN, that the Relic Shield does get upgraded to Targon, they spam some gold as much as possible up until about the 16, 17, 18-minute mark. And then basically once they've generated a bunch of gold back, they actually sell it in favor of the coin. That's the trend that we've been seeing over from OGN, and we'll have to see if Nif is going to mimic it. Right now, Impaler is setting himself up in this top lane, maybe anticipating a dive, as Nif and Candy Panda are just trying to get a lot of damage on this tower.
Going to be a good soak-up of experience here. Ooh, Dazzle on the outside.
That didn't work out.
That didn't work out too well. Impaler should be able to return to the jungle after soaking up this experience, but he's trying to keep himself in here. That will help from that camp that he missed. They do share it, but he can't be afford to not to be in lane. There's too much pressure going all over.
Yeah, a lot of tower damage going down in the top lane. Candy Panda and Nif not really gesturing as though they were going to go for any form of dive. It looked like Nif actually wanted to auto-attack the tower. And as we highlighted during those brief pauses, that the junglers were most likely going to go for this defense position. They really want to try to hold on to their outer ring of towers as long as is possible.
And you got to consider how much less of a threat a level 4 Lee Sin coming in without a red buff is. Pretty much getting away, stand behind the minions, nothing's going to slow you down. So he is kind of just forced to stay in his jungler, soak up experience right now with Freddy.
Yeah, and losing that blue buff for Svenskeren was massive early on. That really slowed down his clear speed. Not having the cooldown reduction on an energy-based champion, having the mana regions can be a problem, but the cooldown reduction is just going to allow him to clear those waves out much faster and make sure he can carry on pushing. He is looking like he's going to posture towards this bottom lane again. And if you combine the undertow axes plus the execute damage of Lee Sin, there is kill potential, but I think they both want to hit 6 first. That's the key.
Migza and Haydale know they can be a bit more aggressive with that Sona sustain. They're keeping themselves just about half mana for any tricky engages, but still keeping the pressure on. Even gold across the board here, as both of them are trying, or both ADCs on the sides are trying to keep that 75% push mark, so they're not in too much danger.
Yeah, Haydale's got a lot of damage down onto this tower, and that's what we were talking about. The slow is going to come in, but simply can't trade thanks to that massive burst of damage. Just from the piercing line and the auto attacks, that shredded Svenskeren's HP.
Good to go for a little bit longer. Impaler picking up a pink ward just under 7 minutes here. It seems like they want to grab an area for safety, or maybe start to make some moves, because this top turret taking some big damage and not much Mimer can do.
Now that's actually evening it out. SK were behind in the damage front because Haydale was, I mean, they're going to secure this tower on this next wave. So there's a lot of onus now on Candy Panda and Nif to try to get this tower down in the next wave or two to even up the gold. If Super Hot Crew can move top to defend their tower, that's going to be a great advantage for them.
You got to see that Haydale also doing a lot better in the beginning of this game. He was down in CS from trying to poke so much last game, but is really focused on what they need to do. But it is the 2v1, which even makes you want to poke more sometimes.
But it's great to see, though, in a 2v1, he's still keeping up in CS, and they've actually won the 2v1 matchup because they've secured the first tower of the game. So very good win here for Super Hot Crew. SK Gaming decided to back off the top lane. You can see Candy Panda and Nif have recalled. BF Sword secured there for Candy Panda's Siva. And it looks like they're just going to move down to the bottom lane. So they've basically foregone that top lane tower and said, look, we can't take it, or we don't want to take it, so we're going to move bottom.
Freddy taking the long way around to the top side. It looks like he will finally get there to meet a wave at the turret, so that's going to work out nicely for him. They will try to grab, well, they already have control, but Nif wants a little bit more. They start to ward up onto the dragon, and now with the AD carry support bottom, they might be able to work something out.
That could be the reasoning for the switch.
Yeah, because they haven't taken that yet.
Yeah, nobody's made any sort of moves for Dragon with the exception of those wards now. And if SK have the numbers advantage in the bottom half of the map, that is going to allow them to either challenge for it or secure it themselves. And I think that's very, very key to note. Blue buff has respawned. Remember, the last one was stolen away. Remember, Impaler and Mixer challenged for it and took it. And reading it like a book, Nif knows they've dazzled him.
Oh, they said we're here for our blue buff, and then they said, nope, that was ours. Inside the jungle is going to be the bungle, and it looks like Svenskeren gets on the last tick, takes him down. The ignite from Migza coming out strong, and he is able to pick up the first blood for his team, and they maybe even need securing the second blue buff.
Now, blue buff is picked up, and that is a monumental failure. They got the jump onto Super Hot Crew and were unable to convert that kill. Oh, the dragon being picked up as well. This is a big swing in power for the Super Hot Crew. 2 blue buff steals and a dragon secured. That is brilliant play, plus the tower to go on top of it.
They threw down so many. If you look at that blue buff on the other side, they threw down so many wards. And all the wards that SK had were behind them after the fight was engaged. So they really didn't have much vision of what they wanted. Big fight up here. Freddy forced to ghost from Mimer as he throws down the ultimate. Mimer looks like he's just going to try to get some extra damage down, but that means he could probably take that next engage.
Yeah, Flash and Ignite is available. So the next time Dominus comes up, if Freddy decides to stick away, Freddy is going to be at risk of being taken down. And, you know, SK, they read the invade. They knew that Super Hot Crew was going to challenge for that blue buff. They had set up for it, but they just didn't have the numbers. Once again, Candy Panda just arriving a little late to the party. Jez is not getting any of Gragas' damage down. It just didn't work out for them. Freddy's going to be a bit brave here. He's triple Doran's here. Double Doran's blade, single Doran's shield against a Giant's belt and 2 Doran's items. So he's a little bit mismatched as far as the HP is concerned.
A lot of these Lucians throwing in that Ruby Crystal as they go along their build for the Bloodthirster into that Trinity Force. Keeping himself tanky, and you can see winning the shots versus Candy Panda. That's not giving them too much trouble, but they did push, so they can finally back in that bottom lane. We'll see what they pick up. It's only going to be sustained for Candy, so still that lane seems like it's going to be quite slow between them. Sustain on both sides, poke on both sides.
Yeah, it comes down to, I think, jungler assistance in this case. You know,
right.
Haydel and Mixer actually have potential of killing Candy Panda if they combine the Crescendo with the culling and get every shot to land. But right now, I think Impaler and Mimer, they want to set up a dive here. Assault and Battery is available. That's a double buff Impaler. The question is, are they going to go for not enough minions? So, starting to back this one out.
Freddy says, get out of here.
That was a little weird. Walked right up, basically said, hey guys, what's up? And now they've backed away. Maybe this wave.
Nobody's come up to help him yet. So he has his ultimate. He's got to call that out, but his ghost is down. He blew his ghost last time because the ultimate wouldn't have saved him. But here, he knows he needs to hightail it out of there.
Yeah, Freddy is going to at least get away a little bit safer this time round, but slightly awkward posturing from Mimer and Paler. They want to just try zone him out. He's losing minions, he's losing experience, he's losing gold. So it is still wins for them overall. And you can see that Candy Panda, and if they're just dealing with the minion wave pushing up towards them, they're not trying to shove the tower down. It actually feels like SK's trying to stall a little bit, buying some time to farm up and power up a little bit.
Do you feel that it's been a mistake that the top turret was left alone after they lost theirs? Do you think that should have been equally traded to keep these lanes flowing?
It ended up being that way because hindsight is 2020. But the decision for that, you see Nif going down bottom, he sets up wards around Dragon.
Right.
They knew blue buff was respawning, and they knew Super Crew was going to challenge for blue.
That's true.
But then they executed very poorly. You know, so the decision-making was good.
It was there.
The execution was poor, and that's why they lost blue buff and lost Dragon.
Good point.
And didn't get the tower at the same time. So, you know, it's only because we can break it down knowing how it planned out. But I think it's good that SK are thinking that far ahead.
Absolutely.
It does show forethought that they were not necessarily doing in game one.
So the numbers also spell that out here, 18,000 to 15,500. We got 12.5 minutes in the first blood going over to Migza, so it's not too crazy. He was able to get the Sight Stone, which means they can get a little bit more coverage on the map. We'll see if he brings out his sweeper soon.
Yeah, I guess once they start moving around the map, that's the key. You know, once they decide to start pushing into their opponent's jungles, it's about 13 minutes, so unless my math is terrible, in the next sort of minute and a half to 2 minutes, I think, is when the Dragon's going to be respawning. And that's most likely where we're going to see our next fight. Both of the teams are going to be aware of it, know roughly the time frame. And I think SK has to challenge. I don't think SK can afford to give up or give away any more of that global gold.
Good wards in the bottom lane are keeping Candy Panda safe, but they see Migza going around. Will they try to do anything with this? I don't think so, because it looks like Sven Skaren is taking his wolves, or wraiths at the moment.
Yeah, Sven Skaren feeding the pinch. Double Ruby Crystal in his items at the moment. You know, over on the other side, Impaler's got that Spirit of the Ancient Golem completed, and it's only being met by a Spirit Stone. So Sven, he is up on CS, but he wants the instant power of those double Ruby Crystals as opposed to investing it into, you know, upgrades along the line. So
that is quite interesting.
It's a little different. It's a little different. But I think it's because he's anticipating a fight, and he just wants that right now. Impaler may be the one to pull the trigger.
He's ready to punch.
Up and
ask
decides
questions
to go
later.
Away.
3K or 2.5K still sits between these two teams. Impaler looking for his third blue buff that's not really his, but SK says we are going to do everything in our power to stop this one from going to you guys. They have sent 4 now. Coming around the backside is going to be both Moops and Jezus.
Yeah, Jezus is being zoned up. On the hunt comes out. That's Fence going over the wall. They've caught Moops.
Moops is just on the outside. He throws it, but they flash over the shockwave, knock him down. Jezus picks up a nice kill there, and it's going to be 3 on the assist.
That's a great decision from SK, realizing they can forego the blue buff to pick up a kill and the mid turret. If they then roll around to pick up Dragon, this is a great decision from the team. Now we do see Hadal defending it as in comes Impaler.
Impaler trying to do just that, and he gets it back onto Candy Panda, forces the flash. The Sivir ultimate is down, so this is all that they can do for themselves. Clicking away, a nice crescendo going across the team. Nif is going to be the next to fall. Jez is on the outside with the blue buff, is going to be able to body slam away safely if necessary, but the 2 for nothing on that.
Yeah, now Freddy's joined the party. That was a 4v4 really, as they did shut down Moops. This is going to be the tower falling in favor of Super Hot Crew if they can get the minion line to back it up. I keep getting too antsy, actually. SK Gaming end up losing the fight 2 for 0 in that mid lane engage. And a great little cheeky
had
move.
gone down, but
Cheeky move by Svenskeren. Lands the Sonic Wave, kicks Mixer over the wall, and then follows it up to follow him with, but it wasn't enough to get to safety. And this is going to allow Super Hot Crew to actually pick up the Dragon now. So this is their second Dragon of the game, and it's going to give them a nice gold lead. Freddy may want to play, but there's nobody else supporting him, so not really going to work out for them.
exit stage right, says SK, or rather SHC, as SK comes in from the top side. They get out safely. Starting to get a little bit of a gold discrepancy here, something we did not see in last game. Also in kills, and the turrets right now in favor of SHC. They were able to push down that bottom one quite quickly due to the 2v1 situation.
Yeah, 4,000 gold lead right now is a pretty sizable amount, but the way that it was generated, I think, is more important. SK seem to be reading Super Hot Crew fairly well. They seem to be predicting the movements, but they're not capitalizing. They're not turning it into victories. They're not securing their blue buffs and things like that. So unfortunate for SK, they continue to fall behind. If they don't stop the rot soon, Super Hot Crew may be able to just instantly win any fight they choose, because they're going to be able to just engage with Renekton and Vi, and nobody on SK can stop them right now.
No one looking for too much aggression right now. Since the beginning of this game, we've seen the teams feeling a bit more comfortable. There were more early wards. There have been more engagements, but better fights this game. The nerves have kind of been shaken off, and everybody's a bit more controlled. We'll have to see what they can do in this top lane. We talked about the kill potential of the slows. We'll have to see if it works.
We'll have to see if there's any kill potential here onto Mimus. Svenskeren has managed to sneak in from the river, and they booted him backwards.
They haven't hit the Q yet. He still has that to follow, and he does get it after the flash, but is it going to be enough? Where's the cripple? He's trying to keep him in. Oh, the assault battery comes in. The vault breaker. Do they take him down? Freddy in the trade for the retribution kill, and they are both forced to walk away.
Trading 1-for-1 with Freddy being able to pick up that kill is pretty good news for him. He is falling a little bit behind on CS. Now Nif and Candy Panda, they want blood on Hadal.
Hadal throwing out or calling. I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of this one. Oh, he says no, and Nif almost walked in that one.
Crescendo's available if Mixer wants to go in. Are they going to go for it? That's the real question.
Oh, he still had it. He tried to time it. To his credit, he tried to time it, but it does last quite a bit, and he gave his best effort.
Great spell shield there from Candy Pandas. We do see Impaler really bullying Svenskeren around. We do see the sort of matching items as far as the defensive stats is concerned. One additional cloth armor, but it's not a massive amount of armor to rave about. Now, Super Hot Crew continue to extend this lead. It's now 5,000 gold lead. They've got 4 kills to 2. There's still a tower up. Yeah. And I think they're playing this very well. They're playing it patiently, and they're not overcommitting, which I think is what SK's mistakes have been in defense of their buffs.
Yep, it's a good way to put it. Coming up on 20 minutes into this game, kind of see everybody at their lull in power, but at their most to try to get something out of the game. Everybody's trying to finish that last core items. Both Moops and Jezus have gone for the Athene's Unholy Grail, just favoring that cooldown and magic resistance, because that lane, like I said, it's the kill lane for those two. It's just a skill matchup.
Now, I'm happy you actually talked about them, because I don't think we've seen much of them at all, really.
Yeah.
Moops and Jezus have just been farming their way up, and it's pretty apparent that Moops is winning the farm battle, thanks to having 40 CS more than Jezus at this point.
Just a few.
I mean, that's basically 2 kills worth of gold.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's already showing. Athene's completed plus the Blasting Wand. He hasn't completed his Sorcerer Shoes yet, and even though he's a kill down, it is because 5 members of SK dove onto him. If he can land another good Shockwave, that could be a game-changing moment that could lead to bigger objectives for Super Hot Crew. And with blue buff respawning, it does look like SK may have the fight they're looking for. A little bit of a deep ward there coming out of Haydel. They want to be well aware of SK's positions. And it feels like every fight that's happened has been because of this blue buff.
Impaler wants it so bad that it's the engagements. A little bit of a wall there in front of Impaler. He learned about that. Trying to go through walls doesn't work too well. Svenskeren going to take some damage. Calling all the way to the backside. Actually takes down Nif in the last few shots. A very nice reactive flash there. Trying to get themselves some more engagement, but they couldn't get it down.
Now, Mima was actually going toe-to-toe with Freddy. Freddy did not use his Ragnarok, and it actually looked like he was able to scare Mima away a little bit. Mima's going to carry on farming, but the tower was secured. So even though the top lane fight is swinging a little bit even, Mima's going to be a bit cheeky and get out. Super Hot Crew, they secure the second tower of the game. It's the mid lane tower. That's going to make it even easier to challenge on those blue buffs that we've seen them doing constantly throughout this game.
I can't help but notice, he does have a kill. Obviously, that's going to help. It was first blood. Moby Boots, Ruby Sightstone, the Edge, and there's no Sightstone yet. The Targon's fully upgraded now, and he's still just trying to go out for consumables.
It's a bit of a risky play from Nif, but on the same token, he's not had any money to work with. There's no global gold coming in. He's got 1 assist to his name.
That's true. They haven't taken down the turrets.
No dragons, no turrets. So there's nothing else supplementing his gold. The Targon's Brace has currently generated about 550 gold. So he's working his way up to breaking even. Over on the other side, the Frost Fang, which is of course upgrading from the Spell Thief's Edge,
Bingo.
is sitting close to 640 gold. So, you know, it actually looks like the poking item is working out in favor of Mix's Sona. Around this time is when he sold it in favor of the coin. So we'll see if the same stays true.
And he's also switched to the red trinket as well. They're getting 2 sweepers out, 1 now on Impaler, who started with 1 coming out of that first game. So we'll have to see if this starts to really play in their favor. They're going to have vision control, and they already have map control.
So 15 seconds for Dragon. The blue buff was stolen by Super Hot Crew, taken by Moops as it respawned after that last team fight. And you can see SK, they're setting up some vision. They don't want to give it away. Mima and Freddy, the slow battle of the tanky top laners, they're going in.
The wet noodle fight continues, and it stops. They need to make some more noodles.
Mima's noodle's bigger, but Freddy's can be thrown. You can see it in their weapons. As it stands right now, SK do have a positional advantage on Dragon. If they want to start it, however, they run the risk of Super Hot Crew running down mid lane to the inhib turret. First tower secured there by a split-pushing Siva of Candy Panda, which, once again, he did in the previous game.
I love that both of these teams are still trying to do everything they can, in which they should, but they are completely there in time. Like you said, SK has been kind of foreshadowing what they need to do for themselves, and they may just get pushed in and out of this Dragon.
They're grouped up. The fight has started. Jesus is in trouble. Needs to do a defensive ult.
It looks like Freddy could be getting hit up quite hard. It does get rocked around by the command shockwave. Everybody trying to regroup from that chaos, and it means flashing out of the fight right now for SK. That was quite a bit for them. And now to turn around, Dragon still very low. For SHC to go with that before fighting, this is so chaotic.
Yeah, it's not over yet. Nif's now in trouble.
He could go down at the end of this fight. A final shot from Haydel after the ability. 1-2 on the passive. Is it enough to finally take down Dragon? It is. We see SK backing.
Yeah, there's not much they can do. Jez
needs to be
a little careful here. He is trying to be a bit cheeky. It's not going to work out in his favor. And, he just got zoned out. Simple fact of the matter is he got zoned out by Super Hot Crew, and because Super Hot Crew could regroup and then challenge as a 5, SK Gaming couldn't use that explosive cask to displace Super Hot Crew and allow their mobility to reign supreme for them.
So 6,000 gold as it ticks up to 37,000 to 31,000 here. 2-1 in turret still, so the objectives have been quite a big focus. If you can say Impaler's been going for blue buff maybe, but the Dragon now being focused and probably some turrets to follow after these next fights.
At least 1,000 gold separates each of these players.
Yeah.
With 1,500 between the supports. It's a big amount of money that Super Hot Crew have already invested into their items. Once again, wet noodle fight is barely going on between these top lanes. Spirit Visage and Sunfire Cape. In comparison to the Sunfire Cape and the Negatron Cloak, Freddy is very far behind right now. A complete item difference. and it's going to be a while before he's going to be able to even up that.
Getting that minion with a Sunfire Cape. Just grabbed it right up. 24 minutes into this one, 7-3. It's going to be now another grand. It's like these guys have an investment account or something. It just goes up a grand while they walk around. See what they can do with this. That was the Trinity Force and the Bloodthirster being built out on Haydale, and he's just been having a heyday. 3-0-3, way better than he was performing last game, and it's really their game. They're in the driver's seat. It's no back feet for them.
So two things definitely work into his favor. Number one, switching over to the Lucian has definitely helped him out in terms of damage and picking up the kills in the early game. As you can see, big chunk onto Candy Panda. Just a couple auto attacks. But the one thing that also is very important to note is the 2v1s. Super Hot Crew simply played the 2v1 better. And that one call all the way back at 12 minutes, 13 minutes to say, defend blue buff from SK Gaming, is what started the snowball, started the spiral.
Blue buff is like Baron this game.
Oh, it does look like Mimer's going to be in trouble. Dazzle's going to come out. They've jumped on the Crocodile.
Oh, is Mimer in trouble, though? The Croc tries to get out, throws down the Dominus. He is also going to bring Jessus into this one. There it is. Did he get the assist on that? Possibly not, but they know that Impaler is just on the other side waiting.
Yeah, he's going to be able to dive in here. Assault and Battery is up, but he needed to use the Vault Breaker through the wall, so not going to be able to lock anybody up. And Mimer, he basically just pops Dominus to run away from 3. SK Gaming couldn't lock him down, couldn't chase him down, and he gets out cleanly.
Game of mobility here. 3 boots on the board. Impaler trying to chase, Migza trying to chase, and also, obviously, Nith trying to get those dazzles down.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is round 3. SK Gaming have lost 2 previous fights around this buff. They are going to try again, and hey, 3rd time's the charm, right? It worked for Young Buck and the Copenhagen Wolves yesterday.
And is this that big, or are they putting it in their head that it is?
They do not want Jezzes to have the cooldown reduction and the spamming ability. And
This is
also,
true.
to maintain map control is working out for Super Hot Crew. Vision is there. The fact that SK is almost playing into Super Hot Crew's hands, this is benefiting them. SK need to push somewhere else, make a play elsewhere on the map. Blue buff is still alive, and the fight's going to break out at any second, but SK don't want it. They're afraid of the engagements.
SHC has the lead, and like you say, SK can't afford to just keep defending a blue buff.
Initially, it was good for SK to respond and try outplay.
Right.
Now they're behind, and SHC's aware of it. I would dare say Super Hot Crew are baiting them into that decision.
Every time.
We're going to challenge your blue. Come play with us. We'll secure your blue. And if you stick around long enough, our toys are bigger than yours, and we're going to hurt you more. It's that simple.
The 26th minute, it has just been a constant knocking on the door at that blue buff. SHC, got to give him credit for sticking with a strategy and not veering off. Freddy going to be engaged on here. The assault battery to the back line, making sure they stop both of them up. The ultimate coming out. Doesn't look like he's going to fall with Ragnarok, but they are going to try to re-engage. Nif, right in the middle of the fight, is going to be going down eventually. Mimer picks up the first kill of this one. Blood will be spilled as he picks up a second kill. Almost up to 10 kills here. Is it going to be going to Haydale on the other side of the map? Throws down the culling. Is it enough? He tries to get the last 2 shots off, but it's not in range.
No, not this time around. I don't think he's been able to dash up. We'll have to see if the cooldown comes up quickly enough. Now, there's no more movement speed
The chase
from
is
Candy
on.
Panda. Trinity Force is giving additional speed. Haydale decides to back away. But another strong win, and Super Hot Crew doing 2 things well. Number 1, proving they're not colorblind and moving to the red buff to challenge for that one. And while they were moving to red buff, found members of SK Gaming, and they managed to pick up a team fight.
They're like, hey, this is familiar.
Exactly. No, hey, we're doing it on that side of the map. Let's do it on this side of the map. And just to go a little further back, when that little duking out was happening at blue, Impaler actually stole blue buff with Smite. Just a nice hint and tip for everyone doing that. If you're invading to take a buff, use Smite. It's safer, it's more secure, you don't run the risk of it being stolen, and donate your blue buff to your mid lane carry, because that's in a lot more controlled, safer environment.
It's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, it's a good guy thing to do.
Come on. Turrets. Turrets not seeing as much attention this game. They've really taken a back seat to the kills. 9-3 now. The gold, much more different. We had up to 58,000 to 58,000, I believe, last game. Something really high. Something really astronomical. 45 now to 37. 8K gold lead coming in. That's items on every single person in the team.
And this is also the biggest gold lead that we've seen yet between these 2 teams.
Right. Or an extra item, I should say.
Extra item in addition, thanks to the bonus gold. But it's just that Super Hot Crew are in control of this one, as they were in the later stages of the previous match. You know, SK tried to make moves, but failed in making them stick. And I hadn't noticed when the Spell Thief, the Moonblade was sold, but Talisman of Ascension has been picked up by Mixer. So the engage potential is even higher now. You know, he can speed up his whole team in conjunction with his Song of Celerity movement speed increase. And it's a very powerful in and out to help counter the power of that on the hunt.
It's always nice to see your Orianna do that much damage. Now already having the Void Staff coming in. Glass Cannon builds quite a bit for these teams here as they may try to pressure this dragon, but it looks dangerous.
Yeah, I think Moops basically secured it for his team thanks to some great damage. Nobody from SK can challenge because they've lost 50%. So when Karen even gets stunned up by Mima, Mima almost went in. He had that second, the dice to go back forward and decided to back away. Now the siege is on. Super Hot Crew with a numbers advantage and an HP advantage will be sitting underneath this tower to try to take it down.
As they look to pressure this one, nice shots. Haydale getting himself out safely. It really seems that we can almost consider SHC to be a team that loves to play off their momentum because they have not seemed to calm down since the win of last game.
Yeah, that's true. They continue improving on their previous plays, improving on the last moments. You can see that the vision is also being stepped up in this matchup. There's a couple more wards in and around the entries and exits to the SK Gaming jungle, which was anticipation of the dragon fight. And they had positions on it. The barrel comes up from Jez's. It's not enough.
It was a good barrel to get in there to stop some damage. No follow-up, as you said, though. Could have been had. Good damage on the turret. Haydale getting in for great shots on that. Eventually going to fall, and this means right now SHC has to realize they could start putting themselves in the position they got put in. So they need to end it if this starts to happen.
The one thing that they are doing right, they're sieging. They're forcing a split push. They're leaving Mima in the top lane. And as you mentioned, SK didn't do this in the previous game. They didn't group up and siege as a team because things were so even.
Yeah,
I think SK Gaming were afraid of it. You know, they were like, well, because we know we're not ahead, we don't want to put ourselves at risk. And it ended up costing them. In this game, Super Crew know that they've got the advantage and they're playing to it. I also want to just touch on the 0-1-5 of Moops' Orianna. He's getting a lot of extra gold thanks to the support's assist scaling gold that we've been talking about in 3.14.
He is also at 308. We saw just his plays in general. If he's not on the map to be alive for the fights, he's stopping the dragons. He's doing the right things beforehand, and he's kind of seeing that SK is trying to do it even more beforehand, if you will. Taking a bit of damage there, nicely shielded. Is he going to get it? I think he might get one of his.
It doesn't look like anyone's around. It doesn't look like it's around. This may be the second blue buff of the game. I think you're right that Jez is going to be securing. He does manage to pick one up, and a round of applause here for the blue buff. And you know what? I think that's Super Hot Crew just pushing elsewhere. You know, they sieged up the mid lane. You had Mima up in the top lane, and they weren't necessarily prepared to challenge that blue. And they've got enough of a lead. It's over 10,000 gold now. The question is, how do they push SK into a fight? Because they've got very good tower dive potential. Renekton and Vi, plus Orianna shield. Although, as I say that, the dive's coming from SK.
Oh, Shockwave onto 2. Looks like Jez has wanted out, but the rest of the team wanted in. He comes in back a little late. The cast did hit, but it didn't hit enough. Again, the follow-up isn't there.
Yeah, but here comes Lucian as well as Mima.
No. Dominance goes down. He's in 4 people. That is shredding HP right now. Here comes the rest of the team. They are coming out of the woodwork. How is he in the jungle? How is he coming down from the sky? They are being pushed down into the base, and it looks like they're grabbing inhibitor turrets off of this. A double kill coming in as Freddy comes back up. Another double kill. 1-1 for Mimer and Haydale.
Massive fight for Super Hot Crew. This is going to allow them to pick up the inhibitor. And like you said, Super Hot Crew coming out of the woodwork. That was a 3-man defense in the tower. Mima and Haydale managing to join from the sides and just clean up. Here's going to be a replay, as we talked about. Now, the tower had already been pushed off. Look at Lucian coming in from the side angle. And Mima just wrecks. Dominus and Sunfire Cape is dealing damage to 2, 3, and 4 members for practically the entirety of that run up the mid lane.
Wow.
And it's just going to allow them to clean up. Mixer with a flash power cord right at the end. He really wanted to get in there and make sure his team secured those kills.
Or is not enough. You got to do more. Got lane pushing going on pretty much everywhere it could happen right now. We had a bottom turret being dropped there by Haydale during the replay, bottom second tier turret. So they just grabbed all that potential gold that was sitting on the map, and it was big.
Massive amount of gold gain. Now all the map pressure is sitting in Super Hot Crew's favor thanks to the minions. Previously, it was being afforded and earned by vision and by challenging on the buffs. Now they can allow the super minions to do a big portion of that job, and they can now start to challenge the Baron, or going for the last remaining inner turret in that top lane.
More sweepers, even more sweepers coming out. Haydale picks himself one up, 34 minutes into this one, also picks himself up a red buff. They are very near 60,000 gold to 43. Looks like a forced Ragnarok here from Freddy, 1-2-2 at Mimer. Yeah, that's not going to hurt. Care. Not going to hurt at all.
Mimer is just running through everything right now. 5-1-4, Randian's Omen, Sunfight, Giant's Belt, and Spirit Visage. There's a Randian's Omen missing in Freddy's arsenal. That is the difference between these two lanes right now, with the exception of a Giant's Belt. I mean, Mimer's got another Giant's Belt on top of it. If you look at the junglers, the Locket of the Iron Solari sitting in there, you've got the makings of Randian's Omen, a big, big difference between these two teams. And it's just, it's very difficult to see how SK can come back, with the exception of monumental throws, and this isn't gonna help.
That was big right there. Mimer actually can't get through the wall. He did slice through the wall, so he's going to be forced to walk up to this one. And you can see SK doesn't want any of it. Everything is used to disengage. Well, Haydale is just off, having a heyday.
Yeah, we see Candy Panda again with this sort of armor shred build, if you can call it that, as now the wet noodle fight is going to incorporate some additional help. Freddy's been stunned.
Looks like they bring the full dinner to this one. Freddy, oh, there's the disengage, but is it enough? They want right back into the fight. They continue to go. It's going to be the slice. He still has the dice possibly to follow, and he does. Oh, a little bit of a misstep there. They are just pinning him in, but he gets across the wall. This is only going to be for the run. Oh, a flash. That was quite nice. Good dodge. Blue suede shoes from Svenskeren. He gets the clap out of the crowd.
It's not going to help, though, because now all of a sudden,
it's just so chaotic.
Get the tower. They're going to get the inhibitor tower. Haydale has held Candy Panda in place, and one of the keys to these team fights for SK Gaming is the mobility of On the Hunt. It's not doing anything. Mimer taking some turret hits, and he doesn't care. That's going to be a dead Candy Panda.
Sniper. Haydale coming out, goes right past the inhibitor turret, and this one's going to be taken down, not gone past. So they look to get more gold out of this. You can just see them doing everything they have, because the surrender vote has come out in this promotion game.
SK Gaming call it. They tap out at 36 minutes, and you know what?